Shalom. I'd like to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rekha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, bishops of Great Millstone. Peace, blessing, and safety to all you Akim out there pushing this truth throughout the four corners of the earth and to the hopeful elect out there. This is the brother Hadabyar coming back at you with another one. And a lot of a lot of teachers out there, a lot of false teachers and false prophets out there, are telling the people that that the MOTB, is something else than from what it is. Are making it seem like it's okay that if you take it that the Lord will still forgive you. They're mixing up the doctrine, and they're telling lies. They're being very deceitful. And leading Israel, down the wrong path, and not realizing what this mark is, what the MOTB really is. So I want to just start off with Revelation 13 and 16, and this is a major prophecy that is going to happen. This is like the this is the big one. This is the one that kind of sets the tone for the end. And we know when this happens that Yahushua is right around the corner. But Esau's gonna be real slick into getting Jake to take this shit, just like how they were slick when it came to that juice, that C19 stuff. They're very deceitful. They use the media, they use entertainment, they use your favorite celebrities, and I believe that it's gonna be just the same way when it comes to this MOTB. And they're gonna be very smart in the way they push it to where it's you have no choice. You want to eat, you don't want to struggle, you want to continue with your everyday, your everyday life. You're gonna have to trust Esau and take this chip. So this is Revelation 13 and 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark on their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So this mark that it's talking about is going to be, an implant RFID chip that, Esau, who is a so-called white man, the wicked that is ruling over this world right now, is going to force this upon everybody. Doesn't matter where you are. You're going to be forced with this decision whether to take this chip or not. And the elect are not going to take the RFID chip. They're not going to trust in Esau and trust in his system. All our trust is in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. But a lot of people are going to get desperate. This is Isaiah 30:1. Woe to the rebellious children, said the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, a strengthening themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and trust in the shadow of Egypt. So that's what Jake is gonna do. Things are gonna get so hard. We don't know. There could be a financial crash. There could be a blackout, cyber attack. It could be many ways that this devil could bring in this chip and this system. And best believe when they do, it's going to be in a way where people are going to be desperate to take it, where they're not even going to think twice about putting a little chip in them, finding that it's cool. I don't got to walk around with, you know, I don't got to walk around with a phone. I don't got to walk around with a wallet. All my information can just be on this little chip. That's the size of a rice grain. And we already see that this technology is already out there. People are already doing it. It's not a it's not a thing of the imagination. Like it's already out there. It's just not forced. It's not pushed. It's not made. It's not mainstream. And you trust in Esau. You trust in this chip. You're gonna be destroyed. You're gonna die. I'm gonna jump down to verse 8. Verse 8. Isaiah 30 and 8. Now go, write it before them in a table and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever, that this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceit. So, that's what Jake want to hear. They like when they hear that it's not the RFID chip. They like when they hear it's just sin or sleeping with white women. Because that's easy. That, 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 that's that's not hard. They don't want to hear that if you take this chip, you're gonna die. You're gonna be judged. No, they want to hear the goody goody. They want to hear, um, God loves everybody. It's okay. It's okay to trust in Esau. And that's exactly what these churches were doing, during the C19. What happened to your faith? These churches were setting up shop within their own church to get that juke. And you can just imagine when the chip is out, if they could be doing that same thing, having chipping stations within the damn church. Like, that's crazy. But who knows? Who knows? But we're gonna find out very soon, because it's gonna happen. Go you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, because the Holy One of Israel to seize from before us. That was a point in that. I want to get. That's the thing. These false leaders and these false teachers. They're not. The apostles and elders and bishops of Great Millstone, and the affiliates that follow after the apostles of GMS. They're the only ones saying, well, what this chip is, what the mark of the beast is, warning Israel not to take it, telling Jake, if you take it, you're done. You're basically Esau's slave. You made him brand you, and that now you're his property. But no, that's what through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, our apostles are telling, have been teaching us, of what this is, and how things could possibly go down, and to get our spirits, to get our minds ready to refuse, You know, a lot of that even goes into, um, this, what's the word? Detaching yourself from, the things of the society, from the things of this world. Not being so, um, um, not, no, so consumed by all the shit of this world, because we know that the time's gonna come when when they're gonna force that chip, and they're gonna say, if you want to keep, your means of life, you're gonna have to take it. We're gonna firmly refuse and stand, you know, and have faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai by all means. So this is Isaiah 9 and 15. The leaders of Israel are the head and the line. So, and this is in the NLT, Isaiah 9 and 15 in the NLT. The leaders of Israel are the head, and the lying prophets are the tail. For the leaders of my people have misled them. They have led them down a path of destruction. And that's what's going on right now. That's what's going on within Israel. These certain leaders are leading Jake into a path of destruction, because they're not teaching the truth. They're mixing the truth up with how they feel, off of emotion, what sounds right, what's appealing to the ear. And that's not the way it is. The truth is just supposed to be the truth. So, these teachers out here, you're going to be judged. The Lord is going to judge you for misleading the people. This is Ezekiel 9 and 4. And the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that to be done in the midst thereof. So this mark is not, the same mark that it talks about in Revelation.
Strong's H8420, Tav, Tav.
Mark. And you see this, it says, going to the Strongs, it's an exemption. So the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai, the ones of them that have this mark are going to be exempted from judgment, from the slaughter that is going to come upon, the 2/3 of Israel for going and taking this. So, it says, set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that to be done in the midst thereof. So, these men, which are the elect, are going to be exempt from the judgment that is going to come. And, it's going to go on and say that. Verse 5, and to the others he said, so, those ones that do not have that mark, who do not have that exemption, go ye after him through the city and smite, let not your eye spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark. And began at the sanctuary, then they began at the ancient men, which was before the house. So, those, you take that mark of the beast that is spoken of in Revelation 13 and 16. You're gonna be judged. The Lord is not gonna have no pity. You're gonna have to be judged. You're gonna have to be deleted because you did not trust in Yahweh Shem Yahushai. You wouldn't trust in Esau. You wouldn't trust in the system. The system that all the system has ever done is let you down. It's never helped you. All the system has ever done is kept us, oppressed, you know, constantly trying to dig out of a hole that never ends. Can't trust in Esau. We must trust in Yahweh Shem Yahushai. This is Jeremiah 14 and 13. And you see the heading, false prophets. Then said I, Lord, power, behold, the prophets say unto them, he shall not see the sword, neither shall he have famine, but I will give you assured peace in this place. Then the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai said unto me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. I sent them not, neither have I commanded them, neither spake unto them. That I prophesy unto you a false vision and divination and a thing of naught and a deceit of their heart. So that's what these so-called leaders out in Israel are doing, prophesying deceit, not telling the congregation what is to come and what it really is, you know and breaking down what the mark of the beast is in the correct way. They're just talking a whole bunch of nonsense. And the Lord is not playing around when it comes to that. He doesn't take that lightly. The fact that you know there's men in Israel that are out there telling people you know that, what the chip is, what the chip is not, making up and fabricating just a bunch of BS. Verse 15, therefore, thus said the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, concerning the prophets that prophesy in my name, I sent them not. Yet they say, sword and famine shall be in this land, but sword and famine shall those prophets be consumed. So, that, you're going to see, especially not and that chip, that MOTB, that's Esau's sword. That's his weapon, because he's gonna use that to try to um obtain total order and domination over this world. you know Verse 16, and the people to whom they prophesy shall be cast out in the streets of Jerusalem because of the famine and the sword, and they shall have none to bury them their wives, nor their sons, nor their daughters, for I will pour their wickedness upon them. So, Lord, you false prophets, talking that stupidness, not saying, misleading the sheep. The Lord's not only, only not the Lord's not only going to come for you, but the ones who are close to you, and judge you for doing so. So it's a very serious thing to be, you know, being deceitful and misleading, because you don't want to hurt, Esau's feelings. You don't want to say that they're gonna that you know that they're that they're gonna go into captivity, and these other nations are gonna be ruling, under us. Jake is gonna be on top. These false prophets are gonna learn. This is Ezekiel chapter 33, and start at verse 3. If when he seeth the sword, I'll start at verse 1. Again, the word of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of thy people, and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon a land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast and set him for their watchman, if when he seeth the sword come upon the land, he blow the trumpet and warn the people, and whosoever heareth the sound of the trumpet and taketh not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall not be upon it, his own head. So that's what we're doing. We're prophesying. We're warning. We're warning Jake. We're warning Israel. Not to take that MOTB, not to trust in the system. Put all your trust in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, warning them that hard times are coming, warning them that get learn as much as you can right now. Watch the videos. Listen to the men that are pushing this truth in the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, because there's going to be a time when this knowledge is not going to be able to be found, and you're just going to be lost. It's going to be lost in the sauce. That's what we're doing as men and prophets of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. We're constantly warning of the doom that is coming, of that sword that is coming, that MOTB. Verse 5, he heard the sound of the trumpet and took not warning, his blood shall be upon him. But he that taketh the warning shall deliver his soul. But if a watchman seeth the sword come and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any persons from among them, he taken away his iniquity, but his blood will I require at the watchman's hand. So a lot of fake watchmen out here, fake prophets. You see what's coming. And a lot of these false leaders out here, they know our apostles. They know what they push. They know what they teach, because a lot of them came up under them, came up out of that same branch, but they went away and did their own thing. So the Lord is gonna really judge these false teachers out here for not telling Jake what that MOTB is, and they teach a lot of deceitful things, but this video is just mainly focusing on the mark. A lot of them don't even push the correct names, so they don't even push the names of Yahweh, which is the Father, and Yahweh Shai, which is the Son. But that's a video for another day. So this MOTB, the mark of the beast, it is coming. They're warning Jake, don't fall to the hands of Esau. Trust in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Build yourself up now in the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, so that you're able to resist that hour of temptation. So that's going to do it for this one. I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rekakodash, and double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Until the next one, Shalom.